for joining. I'm going to give a quick overview of what we're doing today. Carolyn Saint is joined by the leadership team. She's going to take us through our proposed internal audit plan topics for the next 2 fiscal years. And then the committee is going to vote on the resolution to approve the plan. After that, we're going to hear from JJ Davis again. You're on the spot all day today, and Augie on financial reporting highlights from 2025, which is closing at the end of the month. And then we're going to welcome back David Rasnic because we missed you. And, if you don't know him, he is of the Office of Audit and Public Accounts. And we're going to review required communications with us as the APA kicks off their annual audit. We're then going to go into closed session. So this is a marathon session. So I ask you to bear with us because this is very important stuff. We're going to go in closed session to discuss the progress of remediation on our material weakness and our internal controls, the ERP implementation plan, and receive a legal briefing from our counsel. So Carolyn, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. This morning, we seek your approval of our 2-year audit plan. My team and I will answer questions you may have on the audit plan topics we propose for the next 2 years. The plan is aligned to enterprise risks and our available resources. Our many stakeholders have had input and reviewed the plan over the course of its development. We'll begin with the UVA Health System Plan. Ian Day, manager of UVA Health Audits, will review the highlights. Rishab, Shetty, manager in EY's digital consulting practice, leads our co-sourced IT audit team, and he will brief you on IT audit topics for both divisions. Turn it over to you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Good morning, everyone. Our fiscal year 26 audit plan covers, for the health system, covers 8 different ERM categories. That represents a wide range of risks that face the health system as an academic medical center. The single largest focus is on financial sustainability. And moving to the next slide, you can see some specific audit topics around financial sustainability. We will continue to validate new controls throughout the procure to pay cycle and treasury cycles. And at the bottom of this slide and top of the next, there are 2 audits that both address a recent change in revenue cycle accounting. That change increases the importance of third-party payer contract modeling for revenue reporting. And towards the end of our list, I'd also like to point out that we will undertake a school-level audit of the school medicine. This will take a focused look at a particular aspect of controls within that school, and we will scope that in conjunction with the school medicine administrators. I will now ask Rishab to present our IT security and governance topics around the health system.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ian. On the health system side, we have 2 audit topics primarily around Epic systems. The Epic system is critical to patient health data, and also it's important for us from an IT standpoint to assess access controls, device controls, as well as change management controls. Additionally, we'll also be looking at the bring your own devices piece to make sure Epic mobile app security has been maintained throughout the course of the health systems. In addition to that, we'll also be performing a PAN audit on the next slide. This will be covering the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, also abbreviated as CMMC, primarily to cover the high computing environments across both the health as well as the academic systems in compliance with the NIST framework.
Questions for Ian and Rishab on the health system audit plan?
Now it looks great.
Thank you. Next, we'll invite to the table Phil Stavropoulos, Director of Academic Division Audits, who will review his proposed plan.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. As Carolyn mentioned, we take a structured approach to selecting the audit topics we propose for the board's approval. For the academic division, we align our proposed audits with the academic division's ERM risk categories, which are shown on this slide. There we go. We also ensure that audit topics address the education and research components of the university's mission. For fiscal year 2026, we propose a total of 16 projects across the following risk areas: fiscal sustainability, operations, compliance, safety, and IT security and governance. Highlights of the proposed audit topics include 2 compliance audits related to required benefits and services for military-affiliated students, as well as payroll certification processes for research. To account for the distributed nature of UVA's control environment, we also propose 3 school-level audits, including one at UVA Wise. Chancellor? For additional context, we've completed 3 school-level audits and are currently nearing completion of an audit at the Darden School of Business. Audits we've completed include the McIntyre School of Commerce, School of Engineering, as well as the School of Education and Leadership. These projects have all been well received, and we continue to refine the program with each engagement. In the risk area of fiscal sustainability, 2 proposed audits relate to controls over parking and transportation, with a focus on garages, permits, and citations, as well as controls over the Strategic Investment Fund from award to closeout. Next slide. Next, Rishab will review proposed audit topics related to IT security and governance for the academic division.
Thank you, Phil. So on the academic side for fiscal year 26, we have 3 extremely focused audits. The first one that you see on the plan here is the use of artificial intelligence. With the increase in the use of data, artificial intelligence is not just a buzzword anymore. It's very important to assess what are the security protocols around it from the perspective of data security, privacy, as well as regulatory in such a, in especially a higher education environment. Additionally, we'll also be looking at data center management, focusing on unauthorized access, the reliability and controls of system and infrastructure controls primarily from an IT lens, and a network security audit to make sure firewalls and access procedures have been put into place to validate comprehensive security and efficiency. In addition to that, if we go to the next slide, Phil. We also have a very focused audit on arts and sciences. This is similar to what Phil mentioned in the vein of IT systems to assess access, control procedures to make sure policies and procedures have been implemented throughout the School of Arts and Sciences. So that wraps up our 4 focused audits on the academic side for fiscal year 26.
Just a quick question. Was there anything that was just almost on the list that, concerns you just in addition to these, or are these kind of covered?
So we do a 2-year plan, which is not, so we base our plan on risk. The 2-year plan allows us to bring topics forward or push things back. So you're approving a 2-year plan. This isn't necessarily the sequence that we will do things, but we just need sort of a pre-approved list of topics. So that's how I make the cut. We, have resourcing for about 16 audits on the academic side, about 13 on the health side, but we can choose to bring things from the prior year, and then we do co-source too with, especially on the health system side.
And do you think you have sufficient resources to cover all the risks? I guess is my question. Like, are we doing enough audits for the amount of risk that you see across the system?
I mean, it's a great question. I would say that every audit team could use more resources, right? I think we need to be more productive internally before I would come and say we need additional resources. I'd like to explore, and in the written report, we have a 3-year strategy that leverages, how are we going to leverage AI to become more efficient? So the other component of this is if we get a bigger team, we do more audits, now management has to ingest all of that good work, right? So I think we strike a pretty good balance. We do get asked occasionally to do special projects, which, that then bumps something off the list or pushes the priority down, but that's an indicator that we're able to respond to risk. So I would just say, I think every chief audit executive would say more resources would be great, but again, I wouldn't come back to this board with that request until I had done work internally to get more efficient.
Thank you.
Richard, can I ask one question? The list made reference to the SIF audit. Is that the triennial audit that we heard about during the finance committee
it's
meeting?
kind of,
Is that what that is? I just wanted.
It is
okay.
now, yes.
Okay, no.
had had it on the list. because
Already?
We
Okay.
had heard the board over the cycle of years ask questions, so it was already on there.
And
But
so
now-
that's going to happen every 3 years,
Correct.
as
What
we
it sounds
heard about
like.
earlier. Okay, thank you.
And if I could just comment, your AI comment, I'm very glad to hear that. I mean, we've seen in the last 6 months and, other governmental entities where AI has been deployed with wicked effectiveness in an auditing role. So I hope you all are able to take advantage of that.
Thank you. Go ahead, keep going.
Okay, so my final remark before turning it over to you, Madam Chair, for the vote is just to note that we do update the committee on the audit plan status in our quarterly report. So we'll bring any changes to the plan to your attention as they arise or should they arise. And so with that, I think we're ready for the vote to approve the 2-year plan.
Okay, everyone should have had the resolution. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution of the audit plan? Second? All in favor? Okay, the motion carries. Carolyn, thank you and the team for all your incredible work that you do and you're going to do over the next 2 years. We really appreciate it. We rely on you. Your work is absolutely critical. It's like brushing your teeth and flossing them. If you don't do it, you're going to lose them, and it's really, really important. So thank you for the hygiene. Yeah,
I'm like the dentist.
Well, I know, it varies.
JJ and Augie, over to you.
Yeah, I'll just start really quickly as Augie's coming to the table. It's been an amazing year with all focus on the remediation process. I can't attest enough to the Penn University team hard at work under Augie's leadership, and so he's going to outline for you sort of the next steps. Augie, David, it's all you.
There's a slide.
There is.
We have to get to,
Perfect.
right there.
No.
There was a slide. I know.
Well,
There it is. It's
there we go,
You got
there we go.
right.
Good morning, everyone. Appreciate your time, and I'm just going to provide a very brief update for fiscal year 25 financial reporting. And we'll continue to work diligently on all things across the enterprise, including the respective teams that I want to just show appreciation for at UTG, Community Health, Medical Center, and the Academic Division. A tremendous amount of work to date. We're going to talk more in closed session on some of this. But in regards to our financial reporting for FY25, we are currently under engagement with the APA. David will share that with you. That was effective May 22nd. And in addition, started interim work and under engagement at Community Health with PwC conducting that audit. The APA will rely on that audit for that particular work. In regards to the statements themselves, this is a light year. You know, we've had some pretty big GASB adoptions over the last 4 years. The lease standards was big. The software subscription service was big. Just 2 this year, compensated absences and GASB 101. That will not have a meaningful impact to our statements. I think we pressure tested this last year. It's about $1 million on a $50 million accrual. And there's a new one on risk disclosure. So we have a proposal written. We will be taking that to leadership and then ultimately walk that forward to the APA for adoption. We are in full audit readiness. So with that, I will introduce to you David Rasnic to my left. He is the Higher Education Audit Director. He is our program lead, certified public accountant, and information system auditor. Native of the Commonwealth, grew up in Richmond, and we won't hold it against him, but a Virginia Tech grad. David?
Please do not.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, well, I appreciate the introduction. Always a pleasure to be here. I got it. So I'll talk a little bit about, so this is the audit kickoff, the entrance for the FY25 audit of the university's financial statements. So a little bit about the team. For those of you who don't know me, I've been here, I think it's my 5th year as project manager. Then we have Rhiann Chimpanelli and Noah Johnson. They're both returning in charges. Rhiann will focus mostly on the medical center side. And Noah, this is 4th year in charging the academic side and the consolidation process as well. So we're excited to have them, a lot of experience returning for the audit and expertise there. Augie mentioned a little bit about the timeline. As he mentioned, we've already entranced. We've already started the process, got requests out the door, working with his team to gain our understanding and get some of those requests going. all in an effort to complete the field work through June through November, with hopefully to date before Thanksgiving, and then with the ideal state would be for us to have an opinion and financial statements, internal control report to you guys at the December board meeting. We have been close to that, and so we are always striving to meet that. And if we do not, we will still present what our planned opinion is, and we've always had the findings ready for you guys by that December meeting. Then the final deadline is that act for a deadline, the Commonwealth's financial statements, that is December 15th. And so as you guys are material to that, it is our goal, and we are required to have that completed by December 15th. Okay, the engagement overview, again, is for fiscal year 2025. That's from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. So it is backwards looking. A lot of times it's where you guys are current state. We are looking back from where you are. So there is sometimes a lag in some of the corrective action that has taken place. The timing, as I mentioned, already started with the goal to finish by December. Our objectives, so we have university-specific objectives, really making sure your financial statements are presented in accordance with the generally accepted accounting principles, and making sure that your financial statements are free of material misstatement. And then, as I mentioned, we have Commonwealth objective, as well as you are material to the Commonwealth's financial statements, and making sure that your disclosures properly roll up into the Commonwealth's financial statements. So a little bit more detail on what we do over the financial statements. Again, primary objective, making sure that we give you guys an opinion, unmodified opinion over your financial statements, that they have free material misstatement and in accordance with GAAP. And how we do that, we assess the risk of material misstatement at the line item level, and then really look at the controls and obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence to substantiate those balances and make sure that the controls that support those line items are operating effectively. Then we also look at your required supplementary information. So this is your MD&A, your management discussion and analysis, and any of those VRS, pension, and OPEB. This is technically unaudited information. And what we do there is really make sure it is what we see in the supplementary information is consistent with what we see in the basic financial statements, your statement of position, and your SHREC as well. This was new last year, the supplementary information, and again, it will be in this year. The medical center information is presented as supplementary information. So in the past, we had provided an opinion over the medical center. Last year and this year, it is presented as supplementary information. So we will take a look at that and really make sure that those balances reconcile again with the face of the statements, and provide limited procedures over the supplementary information. Other information, this is JJ or Augie's letter that goes in there. Again, same principle. We do review that. We do take a look at that and ensure it's consistent with the financial statements, and we agree with all the facts or the increases and decreases align with what's in the financial statements. And this is the Virginia Commonwealth financial statements. Again, you guys are material to the statements. So what we do look at is your attachments that Augie and teams submit to DOA, the Department of Accounts. And so we'll have inquiries with DOA, with UVA, and the respective audit teams to make sure that that's submitted timely, accurately, for inclusion in the Commonwealth's financial statements. So a couple of things here. Our significant risks were required by the standards to go over significant risk. The first you'll see up there, management override and revenue recognition. Those are required at all institutions. So they're present at each school. Management override, really just management has the ability to manipulate accounting records and financial statements by overriding the controls that could appear to be operating effectively. So it is present there. And so what we do there is we'll look at access controls, segregation of duties, look at the culture, tone at the top, and really to address that risk of management override. Revenue recognition, really making sure that the revenue is recognized in the proper period. This is inherently risky and again, present at all schools. And what we'll look at there is your tuition and fees, your scholarship allowance, and any grants and contracts, federal or state there. And then financial reporting. Obviously in the past couple of years, we've had the material weakness over financial reporting. And so it is specific here, but at all of the schools around the state, there's We've had, of the 11 schools we did recently, 9 of them had financial reporting findings, so it is much more common to have significant risk over financial reporting because of the complexity with the GASB standards. As Augie mentioned, this year is a lighter year. It is not as big of a lift from a new standard perspective, but still a lot of the standards do carry forward year to year. And, so you are still required to follow those as well. So our approach to materiality, really this is what do we look at? So we calculate materiality based on a quantitative threshold by opinion unit, right? So you're consolidated, all of the medical center, UVA, UVA is put together as consolidated statements. And what we look at is what would influence a user of the financial statements. And then based on that, we'll assess the risk of each of those line items and then design procedures to make sure you're mitigating that risk appropriately. Our approach to fraud, our audit is not designed to detect fraud. It is designed to assess the accuracy in the presentation of the financial statements. But to address fraud, we do conduct interviews across the institution to assess the risk of fraud, look for some of those red flags and any potential that exist there. And if you and I know Carolyn and I have talked about this, if there is fraud, you guys are required to notify us, and Carolyn always does that as well. Our approach to compliance, so we do have some compliance objectives, really making sure that you're looking at the risk of that potential non-compliance and would that have a direct and material impact on the financial statements. So we'll look at any of those, assess management's process, and then test anything we deem significant based on those audit objectives. So the first deliverable was the opinion. The second deliverable that we will provide you is a report on internal controls. We do not provide an opinion over the internal controls, but we are required to report any findings that we deem to be significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. And I know we've had a lot of discussion about material weakness versus significant deficiencies. The material weakness is more of the red flag, the significant deficiency more of the yellow flag for potential errors, but something we still feel like we want to bring to your attention as a significant deficiency. Our plan is to issue the opinion, the audit opinion, and the internal control report in the same week. Ideally, that will be before the board meeting, but certainly before the December 15th Commonwealth deadline. So the single audit, you guys, again, since you're material to the Commonwealth's financial report, all of the findings for the Commonwealth's annual financial report go into the single audit. So if there are any findings, not only will you see them in the internal control report, you will see them in the single audit as well. That effectively serves as the consolidated internal control report for the Commonwealth. So our management communication, as Augie mentioned, we have already entranced with management, and we will exit at the conclusion of the audit. We are constantly in communication, have bi-weekly status meetings to make sure that the audit is on track, and any issues that we do identify before we raise them to management level, or certainly your attention, we'll make sure to confirm the condition, obtain a response, and really evaluate the significance. Is it just a deficiency? Is it a significant deficiency? Or does it rise to the level of material weakness?
Can I just say the biweekly now is pan-university too?
Yes.
There's no bifurcation, so those, we're all on a call together across the enterprise. Thanks, sorry.
So then the Board of Visitors communication, if you guys are aware of any risk that we should address, please share those with us. I know I'll meet with Rachel to have a discussion about fraud and about the audit as well. And so unless there are findings requiring your immediate attention, we'll present those findings to you at the conclusion of the audit at the December board meeting. If there is error of communication, I know Rachel and I, we talk and have a good relationship. And so we will be sure that everyone is informed in a timely manner there. And then we'll also send the terms of the engagement and a management rep letter, which are just some of the required communications for management there. And that's all I have for you guys. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Yeah, quick question. You had mentioned that there's a lighter lift on new standards, but then you had mentioned a GASB standard on risk disclosure. Can you just explain a little bit what that requires and what it's going to look like for us?
Sure, I guess I'll briefly. So the GASB 102, the risk concentration of risk. So that one really is specific to, one is, I always say, what is a specific risk? You guys have a lot of revenue streams right? And so one of the questions I get about, do you have a concentration of risk with federal compliance, right, or federal grants, right? Well, no, because you have tuition and fees and other things. So I know, Augie, you're putting together something. I'm not sure the specifics of that. I didn't think it'd have a large impact, but it's always important for Augie and team to evaluate each standard, make sure that does it apply. And then GASB 101, that is a much lighter lift on the compensated absence. Augie, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the
Yes.
disclosures.
So the risk disclosure, we're trying to make sure we're aligned with the respective risk ratings and how we're looking at our internal audits as well as our enterprise risk program. Right, so that is the thought process there, but we want to fully vet that with leadership before we bring it to the auditors.
Yeah, it strikes me as important disclosure, frankly, because it's going to it tells a broader story. So I just want to make sure we're all aligned on what that looks like. Great. Are there other questions for David?
A question maybe more for Augie, and that is about community health and the fact that we have an independent auditor, PwC, that does that work. Is that continuing into the future, or is that a transition? And if we have other acquisitions in the health center, will they also have independent audits?
So as far as reliance on external audits, all of our presented component units get their own audit. So UVIMCO, BAF. Regarding community health, we have relied on a separate audit. We've also had conversations about, could we be a little bit more efficient or effective if we try to leverage it? I would say once we're all in the same control environment, it might be an appropriate time to contemplate that. But right now, with separate systems and community health doing the work they're doing, and with consultation of the APA, we decided to continue forward using alliance with PwC for this year.
And they're doing, PwC is doing the audit for this year or this past year, because I already had a conversation with the audit partner there, kind of along the same lines of what we're talking about.
And so the second part of that, if we do large acquisitions, UVA Health, will they likewise be independently audited, or will they likely, or,
Depends on the structure.
okay,
The TBD.
got it, thank you.
Okay, other questions? All right. Thank you so much, David. We really appreciate what you guys do for us, and we appreciate the relationship, and our door is always open. So don't be a stranger, but we look forward to hearing from you in December in a timely way, and getting the audit to the Commonwealth in time. So thank you very much. I think we're going to move into closed session now. So all of the members of the public are excused. Porter, I think you have a list of names of people that are going to stay, maybe, potentially. Have that list. Okay.
I think Susan does.
Susan, do you have a list of names that people are going to stay? I know everyone wants to stay for this.
Carolyn, didn't you?
Carolyn, do you
I
have
had given it to you yesterday, so let me see if I can
sorry,
find a
sorry.
copy of it today.
a drum roll, please?
Need an audit of this transaction.
Did the cameras get shut off?
Lost some.
Whenever you grab it.
I know, it's
But
David.
I need-
Thank you.
You know.
Thank you.
I want to hit the cord and.
Hi, in my private.
I think I'm okay. I think I got it. I managed to catch it. Maybe I need to get rid of this, so. Okay, thank you.
So invited to the closed session to consult with the committee are all board members, the board secretary, clerk of the board, President Ryan and his chief of staff, all the EVPs and their chiefs of staff, UVA counsel, the CEOs of UVA Medical Center and UVA Community Health, vice presidents, vice provost, chancellor, and chief audit executive, members of the UVA and UVA Health finance teams in attendance, compliance officers for UVA and UVA Health in attendance, members of the UVA audit team.
We're not in that category. You should not be in this room. Not right now. Okay, Porter, do you want to read this into?
Yes, I would. Madam Chair, I move the Audit, Compliance, and Risk Committee into closed meeting to discuss proprietary, business-related information about the operations of the medical center where disclosure at this time would adversely affect its competitive position, and to consider the investment of public funds in an enterprise resource planning financial system where public disclosure would negatively impact procurement negotiations, and to receive a legal briefing on compliance matters. The relevant exemptions to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act authorizing the discussions described above are provided for in sections 2-3711A6, 8, and 22 of the Code of Virginia.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. We're now in closed session. Susan, do you want to cut the live stream and then we'll go? Thank you, everyone, for today's discussion. We are adjourned.
Before you leave, we are really well ahead of schedule, which is great. So what I'd like to suggest is if you could get to, we're supposed to start lunch with the Thomas Jefferson Award conferrals at 12:30, but if you could maybe show up at 12:20 to 12:25 so we can get started, so maybe we can actually get out of there early and grab some time going into the afternoon because we have a lot to accomplish. And I've committed to several people that have hard stops at 5 o'clock that we will hard stop at 5 o'clock. And of course, if something lingers and we need to call a special meeting next week, I'll be happy to do that too. But I just want to make sure that we just try to be as efficient as possible. Thank you.
David.